Okay, hi everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Soulful Self-Development Podcast. Today I have a very special guest and I am so excited for you guys to get to know her. I became a big fan because her name is also Soulful and I was like, stop, no way. This is Soulful Ray of Sunshine, which if you see her, you would know this is the most perfect name for her. So welcome, Emma, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yay, what an intro. Thank you. I know when I saw your name, I was like, anything soulful and or sunshine, I'm like deeply, deeply connected to. I have to be. I'm so excited to be here. Tell me about myself. I am a Reiki master, spiritual practitioner. I've been in this world for about 4 or 5 years now, and it's ever changing. I think that's kind of the fun part of being your own business owner and being in this space is you can constantly kind of pivot, shift, expand, take little breaks, have needed to take many of those. So I have been full time in this business for a year now, but I am a girlfriend, a dog mom, a daughter, and all the titles. But being a coach and a mentor is definitely one of my favorites. It really feels just so divinely me. Ever since I was a little girl, I was like, I just want to help people when I get older. So I'm like, thought it would be a lawyer or like a nurse, but we really broke out of the box. And so constantly kind of shifting into that energy, keeping little Emma happy.
I love that. I totally resonate with that. And I know that we both have Aquarius in our big three, and that is such an Aquarius thing. Like, you just want to fix the world's problems. And I so resonate with that. I thought that I was going to be a doctor because I was like, I want to help people, and that's how you help people. And now I'm like, oh, just kidding. I'm helping people, but not in that way.
Yeah, I know. My mom's a nurse too. So I was like, okay, but I can't do blood. I can't do like anytime I step foot in a hospital too, I'm just like, I get that overwhelming. Like I feel too much right now. This is too much for me. But yeah, I'm an Aquarius rising, but I'm a Libra sun. So the lawyer aspect was really, I was like, justice. I just want justice. So I
Yeah.
totally resonate with that.
And too, I have a Libra rising and my Mars is in Libra, so I get like that's the only thing that makes me angry is when things are not fair. Like I'm
Mm,
nope, that's not okay. Like I'm gonna go
yeah.
fight for this justice.
I love that. Are you Aquarius sun or moon?
Moon. I have a Gemini
Moon.
sun.
You're Gemini sun. I love that. Ooh, look at that big three.
Yeah.
Ooh, my Bobo says hi.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. A lot of air. I have a lot of air.
I know. I think with my fire moon, I'm a Sagittarius moon, but like having your sun and your rising as air, I'm just like, it's a lot. It can be a lot sometimes. So I'm happy that I have the fire in there to really just keep me going. But my dad's a Gemini. I love you guys.
My dad's a Libra. I'm
Oh,
like,
stop.
and
He
my
switched.
mom's an Aquarius. I'm like my
Oh.
own, but like also both my parents, and I see that in me so much. Like my
Mhm.
something, I'm like, stop, that's me. Like, why am I so much like you? I can't.
Yeah. I have this so funny theory, maybe you can relate to it. But if I think back to like my relationships, like the meaningful or like the long-lasting ones, they had the same signs as like my parents' big three. So I have this theory that like the people that you date, um, have to like get you to know your parents on a deeper level, I swear. Because everyone I've had this conversation with and my friends, they're like, hold up, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, I don't. I have one for sure. The last boy that I dated, he was an Aquarius, and that's what my mom was like, and he was
Yeah,
very much an Aquarius.
yeah. No, my mom is a Virgo sun, but she is a Taurus moon and rising. And two of my biggest relationships was a Taurus and a Virgo. So we really just, and I've been healing the mother wound. We are like best friends now. So it's been
I
kind of fun to put
also
that.
have been going through that recently. We actually
Mhm.
last last week or the week before, we did a like healing circle at like my childhood house, and it was like me, my mom, and my two sisters, and we have this girl who she's actually been a mentor for both me and my little sister, like in our journeys. And so she came and did this whole like guided meditation, and I just passed out because whenever I go to meditate, I just fall into the deepest sleep of my life.
Wow.
My sister's like, "Oh, when we went up the stairs, I was like, we went upstairs. Mom was like, you were snoring by then." I'm like, oh. But it was so cute. And I'm like, me and my mom have just been getting along so good. And she's very much like me in that way. Like she just wants to help everyone. And she's been really stepping into her own like spiritual path in the last few months, especially. Like she's trying to figure out a way to like do that as a career and stuff as well. So I'm like, let's go healing motherhood wounds. 'Cause I can't wait to be a mother, but I'm like, I don't want to bring a child into this world until I've done some serious healing because I'm not passing that
Mhm.
on.
I know. It's crazy when you like have that realization too. Like I always had the slight realization like, okay, I want to be at a good place in my healing journey to bring like a child into this world. And then the more that I go deeper into like my own wounds and like ancestral trauma, I'm like, hold up, we need a lot more time to just like sort this through. And it's crazy to just see even I'm sure you can relate, most people in this lifetime, I think, can relate to just how many patterns that we're breaking. And it's crazy to just feel like feel the heaviness of it all. But I'm like, wow, it really is that bit of extra motivation to be like, okay, I'm like breaking it here. I will be the chosen one. I will do it. It's fine. But like to know that, if you're wanting to bring children into this world, that you get to just kind of release that and like, okay, there's a motivator. I'm here for that.
Yeah, I agree because I want a lot of kids, at least four. Like I love children, and
Yeah.
my whole like other career outside of what I do here is I teach children. So
Mhm.
I could see myself having like end up being the lady that has like 10 kids. Like my sister's saying I'm crazy for wanting four, but I'm like, so I know I'm gonna be a good mom because like I'm such a kid, so I'm good with kids, and I just know that I'm already doing all this work so that I can be that safe place for my kids and, bring them into this world. And, I need to raise little people that want to make the world a better place because that's like the only way we're going to have this big ripple effect is so I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
I definitely
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah, and I swear, like the more generations that come, like they just keep getting more like in tune, and I swear that veil is getting thinner, and they're just so connected.
It is. My niece Quinn is 6, and she is so gifted, like
Hmm.
so beyond gifted, and I just can't wait to like keep watching her and nourishing her gifts. And like she's such an old soul, and she'll be like, Auntie, do you think unicorns are real? I'm like, absolutely. She's like, really? I'm like, well, don't you think you've seen one before? She's like, yeah, yeah, you're right. We might not see them here,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean they're not somewhere else, right? Like we live in
Mhm.
an infinite universe. There's so many unicorns. She's like, okay, okay, good. I love unicorns.
I love that. I love that you're just like, hell yes. And she's like, yeah. And like as soon as you kind of gave her that permission, she's like, yeah, I've seen it. Like
I've
I know.
I like to ask her what she dreams about all the time, and I'll be like, what did you see in your dream? Did you see a fairy? Like, and be like, have you been there before? Like, and just like encourage that in her because she has lived
Yeah.
many, many lives, and she's just like, yeah, I can't wait to watch her. Our family's really loves fairies, and my mom went to a medium not long ago and said that like our whole family was like we were fairies together in a past life. And so we are like, my mom will hide like fairy treasures around her yard for them and get them to go look for them. And so they're like, I have a fairy garden in my house, and they're always like, oh, Auntie. the fairies and just yeah, it's so cute. I just love
That's
it.
so cute. I love that. I love that so much. That's my favorite. Whenever you go for walks and you see on people's lawn that they have like the fairy gardens, or I like sit there and observe it. I'm like, oof, so magical.
Yes, I agree. I've seen a real life fairy. Like I had this experience and I was at
Yeah.
my mom's like I grew up on an acreage and I was out back. There's like this path that goes like all the way around the outside of the property and I went back there and I was like meditating and doing my thing and then I was like taking photos of myself and I had my camera like set up on a tripod and this green light like it was like bright green and it flew like out of the trees all the way up to my camera and back and I was like no way. I'm like, I can't even explain this right now. Like, there is no explanation other than it's a fairy. Like,
Yeah. You're like, I just know. That's amazing.
I
I know.
am a
I mean, yeah, I am a fairy. That's amazing though that you had that reading and she told you that your family was in a past life because especially with you growing up and your whole family is still feeling so connected to it, right? I think that anyone that feels so connected to fairy was a fairy in a past life. Therefore, you're a fairy right now. This time is, you know.
yeah, absolutely. I know in past lives, like we've just all lived so many lives, and it's like the more that I've gotten deep into this journey, the more different
Mhm.
lives I've connected with. It's like as I go, like I'll like unlock this life, and I'll have like regain like whole memories of this life.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, oh, that makes sense. That would be where this pattern comes from. And I see that in myself. And I'm like, oh, that's where this wound came from abandonment problems because I was an orphan or whatever. And you
Mhm.
just, you're like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. No, that is crazy though, but it's so healing on just the awareness of it because when you go down a healing journey, especially at the beginning of it, all you can really think about is your own life and what you've been through and your experiences. And sometimes you're just like, okay, like I know that I'm this way, but I don't know why. It just doesn't make sense. And then I've done so many past life, like so much, and it just makes so much sense, especially with those deep ones that I'm like, yo, this runs deep. And like, yeah, I've been through some stuff, but should not have really reflected what I feel to this level. And same here, like so much for me in my past life when it comes to like relationships with men of like authority that just weren't like, what it should be. And now coming into this life, I'm like, oh, there's my authority issues. Got it. Like, it just makes so much sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I did.
hmm
I just did the last time that I went to Reiki, she was like going through my body and she got to my uterus and she was like, oh, you have bad periods, don't you? And I was like, yeah, like sometimes they're worse than others. And then she was like, you're holding this trauma in your uterus. And I was a whore in a brothel. And
Yeah.
that's where my trauma was coming from. And I was like, oh, well, doesn't that make sense?
Wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I connected the two. Like, if you deal with more intense periods, the connection of that womb healing is so intense and so powerful. I've dipped my toe in it. I know there will be more, way more to come. But I definitely can see like how healing that would be. And wow, yeah, it's the past lives, they do get you. And they do like, and that's the beautiful part of it too, is just understanding how connected everything is. And like you've experienced this to just have those memories and you're just like, okay, wow, I get it. It's like this thing, it's like you get clicked back together. You're just like, click, okay, perfect.
Putting your puzzle back together, and then you're like, oh,
Mhm.
I see it.
Mhm.
The womb healing goes so deep that like I've been getting into it more. I see like I see a lot of it's like unprocessed emotions because they stay in
Mhm.
your sacral chakra, and that is like I did a lot of healing and I had a really good period, like no cramps. And I was like, yes, I'm healed. Problem solved, never again. And then the next time it was not good. And I was like, oh man, here I thought I did all this work. And then I had a vision of like it's constant work. Like it's you're not going to just fix it and it's gone forever. It's like I have to constantly be checking in and making sure that I'm not storing these emotions and these
Mhm.
fears and stuff in my sacral chakra. And I think that's really common for most women, because most women have endometriosis or PCOS or just
Yeah.
or whatever, which is not normal. That's not actually what our periods are supposed to be like. But there's so much wounds everywhere to come from, like women, just in general, of in this life or any past life you've had as a woman. I've lived most of my past lives as a man. Like my, if you look at my like astrology chart, I'm mostly air and fire, which is masculine energy.
Mhm.
I've lived less lives in a feminine body, but the lives that I have lived have been traumatic, and I'm storing all this. I'm like, I was a witch and I got burned at the stake, and I was, all these things that a lot of women since the beginning of time have lived like very traumatic lives, and we weren't allowed to share our voices, and we weren't allowed to do what we wanted. We had to do what we were told and all this stuff. And it's like our bodies just hold on to that. And it's like so sad because we've just got to the point where we think, oh, that's just how it is. But no, that's not how it has to be at all. It's just, you have to be willing to want to do the work for yourself and for your future children so they don't carry that on. And yeah.
Yeah, no, those are the two, honestly, sacral chakra and throat chakra for women. Like there's no client that I work with on a one-to-one basis where those aren't two areas where we're uncovering a lot. And it's, I mean, yes, past lifetimes, but even just like this lifetime and how we just shove so much down, especially when it comes to our identity and using our voice and speaking up. And at the same time, like just growing up in this generation, like whether it was casual dating or hookups, that was the normal, right? And I don't think we were fully kind of present for all that was really happening. And don't even get me started on the birth control conversation, right? So it's just like so much that we have to. And I don't want to say like we didn't consent to it. Obviously, we consented, but there was just so much we weren't aware of. And now we're just like opening our eyes and just have so much to kind of heal from. But that's the beautiful part of it, right? Is that there's nothing you've been through that you can't heal, that you can't flip the pages. And yes, it might take some time. It might take a few lifetimes, but it's never kind of set in stone, right? So that's a good thing to hold on to.
Yeah. Yes, I
Mhm.
I absolutely love that. I agree with the birth control thing. If I get started, I literally won't stop. I
I know I'm like talking about
like,
it.
but yeah, no, I agree. And it's like, I feel like as kids, like we weren't really taught, like, you shouldn't, like, your body is a temple. And like, they, every time that you share that with somebody else, like their energy
Mhm.
is being attached to you and you're holding on to their wounds. And it's like, you don't know what happened to them in their life and like the trauma that,
Mhm.
then it's like, you're just like, oh, it's whatever. Like, I just wish that's something that I would have been taught as a kid of like, you know, that it's not just hooking
Mhm.
somebody, like it's more deeper than that. And I aspire to have a relationship with my children where they can be comfortable enough to like talk to me about that stuff.
Yeah.
It's not weird, and that I can, explain to them like it's not just that, it's all this,
Mhm.
and it's this weight that you're going to feel on your shoulders after you feel guilty or shame or whatever that comes along with it. And it's like,
Mhm.
is it actually worth it? I feel like there's a lot of decisions I would have made differently had I actually outweighed the
Many,
pros and cons.
many, many, many. Yeah. And I think that it's so well, yeah, I'm just thinking about like your niece and how gifted she is too, and these generations to come. And like, I don't think we have to dumb things down in a way or like try to hide it. Like they will understand you're like your energy, their energy comes together. Just be a little bit more cautious and make sure that you want to combine. And I just think that this light bulb will go off and they'll maybe sit with that for a second. I wish there was money I could have sat with for a couple extra seconds and been like, do you want to completely have your souls come into one another? Do you want them to come into your energetic body? Like, maybe not, probably not. But that's one of the things I think will probably be shifting over the next little while. We're putting the energy out for.
I agree. There's a lot, like, just there's just so many souls being born into this world now, like even from our age to like,
Yeah.
like the little ones now, it's like my niece that is really gifted was born in the year of 11. Like she was born 2018, but that's 11. I am an
Mhm.
11. And it's just like I see that, like I see that of me and her, and it's like I see it more and more and more, and these kids are just like, but that's what we need because there's such a shift happening and coming, and like
Yeah.
this world's gonna be so completely different in the next, I don't know, 5 years probably, that it's like
Mhm.
we need these souls being the ones that are growing up in this because if we had some of these stubborn old souls that are like my dad's age, with nothing's gonna change.
Yeah, literally. And I don't know if you're familiar with like human design too, but they always said like 2027, like that'll be a really big shifting year. And I've always held on to like 2027 as being the year where it would really just, I mean, not gonna, not like that's gonna be the year where everything really shifts, but I do think just holding on to the energy of, that's like a couple years away. Like that's really not that far.
Yeah, I feel it. I've been feeling it shift so much, like probably since COVID was really the big
Yeah.
start of that. But it's like slowly, I get frustrated a little bit sometimes because I don't do good with time. Like the
Mhm.
concept of time, I'm like, oh, it's changing. Tomorrow it's gonna be so different. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's gonna take a lot longer than that, but I can see it. So I'm like, okay, it's coming. But
Yeah.
yeah, like 2027, that's a good amount of time because it's like 2.5 years away.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
not even, oh my gosh, it's almost
What is that?
2025.
Like two? Where do we like 2 years, 2 months? Sorry.
Yeah, literally. Oh,
Yeah, no, I feel like it's just this veil that's just completely kind of becoming more. And that's where I'm the same with time. But it's because even if you lived 100 years in this lifetime, that's like a blink, truly. Like that's a blink. So it really is. Yeah, time is a very interesting concept. And I think the more that I have dipped my toe into spirituality and allowed myself to ascend a little bit more, I really have to come back down to earth quite literally and be like, okay, you be here now because you're going to be here for a while and years. Yeah, being more present is definitely a lesson that I've been sinking deeper into and just being in this energy of peace and not mistaking it for boredom. That's been like a huge lesson that I'm going through right now, which is so confusing, honestly, for me. It's so confusing, but it makes sense.
I like that a lot. And I
Mhm.
feel like that's a really big issue like in this world because we have so many distractions and it's just so like ingrained in us that it's
Yeah.
don't be bored, like, watch this show or do this or do that. And it's like so much stimulation, but it's like just
Mhm.
being able to just be and not have to distract yourself and just, that's when you get the most like connected to your own energy because you can hear what your soul is
Yeah.
saying to you when you're in that quiet and
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like I definitely just had my hermit year. I feel like we all have them, but I definitely had like that year where I was just a little bit more protective of my energy. I was healing a lot, going through a lot, and I really just prioritized like peace. And now coming out into this world that is so much chaos, right? Like ADHD, ADD, like in everyone, which I get it. Like we grew up in this overstimulated era. It's kind of impossible, honestly, not to be. And I think I'm just noticing so much of like people don't do well with silence. They don't do well with being still. Like that all there's a gap, they need to fill it. And that's just like the normal. And then a lot of us had mothers that were just go, go, go and did all the things. And so we feel like we have to do that too. And it's this weird remembering because it feels right and it feels good to do it. But at the same time, you're just like, wait, but like, why am I the only one doing it? And you get like pulled back into it. Ugh, it's beautiful, but it's really hard. It's really hard.
I
Hmm.
it's so easy to get like pulled. in all which directions. And it's like I have to, that's definitely something I have to work on for myself of like setting the boundary of saying no, like, no, I don't
Mhm.
want to go. I am kind of a hermit. The more spiritual I am, the less I like to leave my house because I
Normal.
go in public and I'm like, there's so much going on out here. I like my room and my sage and my, curled up in my own space. But yeah, no, I agree. But I think that that's hopefully something that a lot of people will shift into, less distractions and more just like being. I like the summer
Yeah.
helps me with that because I'll just like go outside and just be. And I do love that. And the winter, I'm trying to not hate on winter, but I'm not excited that that's what's coming. More internal for, I gotta go more
Yeah.
internal and deal with my stuff, I guess, in the winter.
The hibernation. I feel that. Fall is my favorite season, the in between right now here in Canada. I honestly think it's the best season to like be in. But it is that in between energy, right? Of like usually the busyness of the summer and then the stillness of the winter. But that's just like showing how connected everything is in the cycles and how every cycle has its purpose and to just meet yourself where you're at in all of them. No, um, and I think that that's something I'm just trying to get more into is like, I'm going to meet myself in the cycle that I'm at with my menstrual cycle. I'll meet myself in the cycle I'm at with my business, with the actual season that I'm in. And then eventually you like get to narrow down, like, oh, this is where I am. Okay, let me just be here. And then I'll do it all again tomorrow or the next week or the next month. And that's been helping me I think it's like permission. It's almost like you need the permission to just like be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've been trying to do that with my cycle. Like, like if I'm bleeding, then I don't exercise unless it's like
Yeah,
for a light walk or something. But, just like honoring that because like I feel that in my body so much. Like I don't want to go to the gym and lift weights. Like my body just wants to
yeah,
relax, do its thing. And, but then you get to the phase where you're like, let's go. I have so much energy right now and I need to burn it all. And
yeah.
same with the seasons. I do like all the seasons. I just don't like the -45. I wish I lived somewhere that the seasons were like all equal. Like if every
Mhm.
season was 3 months long and you got to appreciate the whole season, but where I live, it's like 6 months of winter. So
Mm.
inside. But
Where
I got
are you?
skates for Christmas last year, so that's hopefully gonna help me do things in the winter.
Sledding, skating. I know. I'm the worst because I don't like winter. I hate being cold. I
Same.
don't ski. I don't ski. I don't snowboard. Winter is, I will be in my comfies with some hot chocolate and movies. But as a kid, like I used to do a lot of like sledding and building forts and going outside. So I feel like I just need to invest in some little hot paws, get my butt outside, put many layers on this winter, and try to just be a kid again. Maybe stop using the excuse that I hate being cold, but I'm agree. I struggle with that as well.
Cool. Me and my roommates are saving all of our milk cartons so that we can make an ice sculpture in the backyard. Because I'm
I
like,
love that.
I'm only gonna like winter if we're making a fort back here. Okay, we need something fun to do for my inner child, and I'm learning how to skate a little bit. I didn't play hockey or anything as a kid, so don't have much skating experience.
Yeah.
Me and my friends got in a tobogganing accident like 4 winters ago, and like my friend broke her back. So I'm
No.
pretty traumatized from sledding. It was in the mountains and it was like a really, really, really steep hill and we like hit a tree going like 60 kilometers an hour and like got slung shotted out of the sled and it was so bad. We had to go in an ambulance and it was just
Mm.
so I'm like maybe if I just go down a little Alberta hill on a Christmas,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be so bad, but I feel like this is something I need to get over so that I'm not the mom that tells my children they're not allowed to go tobogganing.
I know. I'm like, we'll stick to those little baby hills that you just need to just drive to the block down the street and that old little dirt hole has turned into, that's fine. But yeah, maybe going into the forest and mountains, that might be where my mama bear comes out and we're like, we're gonna avoid this.
Yeah, never again. It was
No,
fun until it wasn't. It was,
no. And that's my fear. Like I've tried skiing at least 4 times. And I am a big believer in signs. And every time I go skiing, something happens that is just like, you should not be on skis. Like one time I knocked this kid out with my ski and we rolled down the hill together. And I literally spent like 3 hours trying to find his mom. He wouldn't talk to me. He was probably terrified because I just absolutely knocked him down. Like I'd be terrified of me. And I'm just like frantically like, oh, I can't leave you. You're my responsibility now. And then there was another time where all the hills were completely blocked off and I had to go down the Black Diamond. And I was like, well, I'm literally going down on my butt then. So I have come to the acceptance that it's not for me. I will come on the ski trip and I will sit in the lodge and I will drink my hot chocolate and read my book. And I hope you guys have a very fun time. I think we're allowed. I'm allowed to say I don't like skiing, even though
I've
my
I've
boyfriend
never
really
tried
wants.
skiing. I've tried snowboarding twice, and it was the same way. I got to the top and I bum scooted the entire way down, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't like my feet being stuck together. Like I'm a dancer. My
Mhm.
automatic reaction to save myself is to put my foot out, and I would just fall over on my face because I can't do that.
Yeah.
Was like, no. And I just like am so accident prone and I know that about myself. And I'm like, I like my body the way it is. I do not want to break my leg. I have two jobs where I cannot break my leg. How am I supposed to teach dance with a broken leg? Not very easily. So I'm like, no.
Yeah.
My friends snowboard. They're like, oh, you gotta try it. It's so fun. I'm like, no, no, I'm good. I'll sit in the lodge and I'll
Exactly.
through the window, wave as you go by. That's good for me.
I'm glad I'm not alone. Honestly, I'm like, this for you, and I love this for you. It's not for me. Like, you can sit here and every year, my friends, my boyfriend, my family, they'll just come, just try it. You'll have so much fun. I'm like, I cannot tell you. Maybe in a past life, I died on a ski hill. I don't know. There's something strong that's like, you cannot go on this hill. So we're going to listen to it. I'm just going to listen to this one. Maybe in my next life, I will be a pro skier, but not in this one. We're not breaking that pattern in this one.
I agree. I agree. 100%.
Yeah, like I know my limits. I'm good with it, but I definitely think I'm the same with you, though. I want to spend more time this summer, really, just skating, and I just want I want my inner child to come out more this summer. So I love that you're gonna build a fort with the ice. That's really fun, and I am going to now put on my list that I need to make some type of something in my backyard.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I haven't built a snow fort in so long. Where my dad lives, he lives in BC, and it's like in a valley of seven mountains, and they get no wind. It's like
Mm,
the calmest place in all of North America, and the snow just falls down in sheets. And it's so beautiful. But they get
yeah,
so much snow that they used to like pile it up, and we would like dig tunnels through the snow when we were kids and make all the forts when we would go there. I'm like, I haven't done that in so long. And last
yeah,
winter we had an El Nino winter and we had no snow, which I was enjoying because it was nice like all winter and I was, I was like,
mhm.
so this winter is probably gonna hit us a little harder than last year, but I'm like, at least give me snow so I can make a fort.
Yeah. Well, just now you have another year where you're just like no snow and you're having to go through it. Yeah, that's the hard part is I don't like winter, but at the same time, if you're gonna have it be that cold, then give me snow. Give me something pretty to look at. So lately here in Ontario and Canada, it's hit or miss. The last few winters have been like they've been green for Christmas, which is just sad. I think that's just cruel, honestly.
Mhm.
But hopefully not this year.
Yeah, we had a brown Christmas last year too, which is like that's only happened to me maybe twice in my whole life because like I
Mm,
so it's like usually so much snow, but
yeah.
like, last winter was so nice though. I was like, it's fine. I'll take one brown Christmas and like not so cold, but I'm just like gonna really focus on my internal work. I'm going to do ayahuasca
Mhm.
on Halloween. So
Nice.
I'm getting have all this experience to like dive into in the winter. That's my goal.
Wow. Yeah. I've never done it. It's on my list. I do feel called to it, just not yet at this point in my life. And I know we talked about that. I'm so excited for you. I think that that'll be so incredibly opening. And yes, like your 2024 is like come end of October, you're just like wrapped up in this healing journey. I'm right there with you. My birthday is on the 16th. And then the day after, I have a 4-day retreat, which is all about like quantum leaping and just like your soul contracts. And I'm like, yep, I'm pretty sure the next 2 months will be absolutely just like going to the depths of my healing journey. So come back. I'm like planning nothing. I'm like, come back to me in 2025.
Yeah.
So I love that you're doing that. And Halloween, that's exciting.
I know that's like the day that the veil is the most thin of the whole
Mhm.
year. And it was supposed to be like the 7th or something originally when I was like talking to them about going. And then I got moved to Halloween and I was like, stop. That is like gotta be the coolest day of the year to do ayahuasca. Like that
Yeah.
veil is already so thin. And I wasn't sure. I'm going with my sister and she's never been before, so I'm really excited to like take her to have this experience. But she has a child. She's 1.5, so I was a little scared that she wasn't gonna want to miss Halloween. But she's like, she can't eat candy and she can't really go trick or treating yet, so I don't really feel like I'm missing much. I'm like, okay, good, because that's actually the coolest day. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
love that you're doing it together.
Yes, the last time I went, I was like, I really want you to come have this experience with me. And she was not ready. She was like,
Mhm.
absolutely not. I'm not leaving my child to do that. And I was like, okay, fair. I don't have a kid. So I loved this experience that I had and I would love to share it with you. And I never brought it up again. And then I quit smoking weed for a whole year for this experience. Like I will probably never smoke weed again because I just
Mhm.
enjoy being off of it. But like
Mhm.
that's why I did made that decision. And I was like, I'm almost at my year. I think like I'm ready to go back. And she was like, you know what? I've been really thinking about it lately, and I really am feeling called to go. I'm like, yes. So now
That's
we
gonna be so powerful.
together. And yeah, the last 2 times I went with a family friend, and like they took me with them the last 2 times. That they're not going to be there this time, which I do kind of wish they were there. But it's kind of nice that I get to go, like I get to
Mhm.
drive there all by myself and go like on this journey all by myself. I'm like, oh, why am I so grown up now?
What was your last experience like?
So I had this like the one night that we drank, it was probably the coolest experience I ever had. And I drank the medicine and I laid down and I started meditating and I used a white light and I started at my toes and I was like just giving my entire body love. And I was like, I love my toes because they're so cute and little, and I love my feet because they help me dance and walk. And and I went all the way up through my whole body, just like thanking and loving my body for everything it does to me. And I got to the top and I felt like I was gonna puke, so I sat up. And because that's like when you purge out like this energy,
Mhm.
nothing comes out as puking. And I was like ready to puke, and it didn't come out. And I just started bawling, and I cried for like an hour. I was just like hugging myself. I'm like, I'm so sorry that I was ever mean to you. Like, I can't believe I was like, any mean thing I ever said to myself. And I just really let it go, and it just like totally shifted how I see myself. And I feel like most people are their own worst enemy, their biggest bully. And I just now, I mean, there's things that I say out of habit, like
Mhm.
I hate myself. I'll be like, nope, no, I don't. I take it back. That's not what I mean. I love myself. I am awesome. And just like, correct
Yeah.
myself because like words are so powerful. And just seeing that is like, I used to hold so much anger towards my body, like, oh, I wish I looked like this, or I wish it was like that, or, and it's like, no, like this is just my vessel for this lifetime. And like, think about all the things that my body actually does for me, like digest my food and gives me energy. Like, it doesn't matter what my stomach looks like the fact that I have fully functioning organs and I don't have any issues, and like I am healthy and all these things. And it's like, we get so caught up in the like, I wish I won, wish I was like this. And because social media and the media and everything makes you think you have to be and look and feel a certain way. And I was like, wow, that was
That's
powerful.
so powerful. Yeah, and that's huge, and that's like it comes from everything comes from within. Like your literal world is a reflection of what is inside of you. And so I love that you had that experience and that your body was like, okay, get ready to purge. And then you sit up and it's like, haha, psych, it's going to be tears, not puking. And I think that that's just like also just so fitting for the journey that you had because it was more of an emotional journey, right? Like you weren't as much maybe purging or releasing, you were more so like connecting and alchemizing and just allowing yourself to feel the depths of everything. So that's so powerful. And I love that now even it happens, like your brain wants to go there, and you immediately are like, no, like that's your higher self coming through your ego, like, nah, girl, back up.
We're not doing this again. And it has
No.
been like, I just feel like even how I feel like, looking in the mirror, and like this journey was longer than this one experience. This was just really like a like moment that was like a catalyst for it all. But it's like, if I think back to 5 years ago, it's like you look in the mirror and it was like you'd pick out all the things you didn't like or that you wish
Mhm.
you could change. And now it's like I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, stop, I'm so cute.
Yeah.
And not in like a cocky way.
No.
I don't think I'm more beautiful than anyone else, but it's like I see beauty in others, and I know that I see it in others because it's within myself, and I have
Mhm.
that connection now. It's like if I see somebody that I'm like, oh my God, you are so beautiful, I will like remind myself, like, yes, because you're beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
your ability to see that is just a reflection of like that's within you. And I'm like, I love
Mhm.
that for me because, 16-year-old to 21-year-old Hannah would have been like, no,
Yeah.
not allowed. We're not thinking we're cute. That's not okay. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's huge too. And that's one of my biggest mind shifts now too is if I see anyone and I start to get into that energy of whether it's like comparison or judging or like wishing, like I'm immediately like, oh, like thank you for showing me like a part of me, or thank you for showing me something that I desire, or oh, I'm not jealous of you. I'm inspired. Like I think it's so normal for our brains to just immediately go to that energy, especially when you just think back to teenage us and everything we've been kind of consumed to view and go into. And now I'm that friend where if like one of my friends says something about themselves and like, okay, now you go look in the mirror and you say five good things about yourself. I'm like, you have to balance the energy. So I think that it's just so normal. We are literally our biggest critics. We're so hard on ourselves. I'm so hard on myself. And I think that like mirror work is life changing. And even if people don't want to like go in the depths of it, like just literally look at yourself in the mirror and be like, you are beautiful. Like that shit's life changing. It really is. Mhm.
yes, I love mirror work, and mirrors are portals, right? It's like how you feel when you look in the mirror is a direct reflection of how you feel inside. And it's like,
Mhm.
if you can be brave enough to look at yourself in the mirror and say, like, no, I am beautiful, I am creative, I am powerful, I am light, I am all these things, like it just can make such big shifts so quickly.
Mhm.
And like I love to write on my mirror affirmations on my mirror with markers, or I'll put little sticky notes or whatever. And it's like every morning I wake up and I look at myself in the mirror and it's like, you are powerful, you are the light, you are all these things. And it's like, that's how I start my day with that mindset. And then, I find it's harder to have a bad day. It's harder to feel like you're being torn down by other people or yourself when you're just starting
Mhm.
off with that, like, no, this is what I am. You can't tell me otherwise. I'm way too stubborn, way too stubborn to let somebody else tell me what I am or am not, especially after all the work that I've done for myself. And I just, yeah, I hope that everyone can get there because I do know I've had friends that are like, oh, I don't really look at myself in the mirror. And I'm like, what? I'm like, get over there.
Yeah.
Like, tell yourself you're beautiful. Like, stop, you're so cute. Like, why would you not want to let's go hype ourselves up right now. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like I know I have had like a shift where I literally look in the mirror and I'm like, wait, like you feel different, you look different. Like you just have this whole new sense of self that you're like viewing. And then I also know that when I look in the mirror and I start to pick things apart or beat things up or say things, I'm like, okay, we're gonna need some extra self-love and care. And I think like affirmations and that stuff has become such a buzzword, but like when you bring yourself back to the actual power and meaning behind it, like you're literally reprogramming your subconscious mind to think these parts of yourself. And when you say it out loud and it feels uncomfortable, yay, you've just unlocked a whole new part of you that you realize, oof, I don't believe this. Okay, why don't I believe this? Like there's so much power that can come from literally saying an affirmation out loud in the mirror to yourself and being like, now what came up for you? Do you believe it? Like, it's so powerful. So I really think when you sit in the power of it and you like actually use them for what they are, life changing. They're so powerful.
Words are, I saw this video the other day and I was like your tongue is a wand and everything that you say is a spell and it's so powerful and it's like, you have to be so careful of the words that you choose to use when you're
Hmm.
talking about yourself, when you're talking about others, when you're talking about, what's possible for you, what you want to manifest in your life, it's like everything that you say, it's like it's a word, it's a vibration. You're putting it out there into the universe and it's
Hmm.
going to come back to you. So, just that awareness is the first step, and there's so many things that are just common to say or that you don't even think about that come out of your mouth all the time. But it's like as soon as you start to notice those things, of like, oh, I don't want to say that. I don't want to talk about myself in that way, or, and then you can correct yourself and start to make those shifts. But it's like everything you say matters. Like the universe doesn't understand sarcasm.
Yeah.
You're saying it like, ha ha ha, oh, I'm so ugly. Like, no, you can't say that because it's not picking up that you're joking. Like, it doesn't know that you're joking. And let's be honest, you're not. Like, if you're talking about
Yeah.
yourself like that, it's just your way of talking down to yourself without, actually feeling like you're talking down to yourself.
I literally have the hardest time with like sarcastic humor. And like I get it. I get it. I'm a serious person. I go deep, but like I cannot like when people are like, "Oh, it was a joke." I'm like, "What do you mean it was a joke?" I was just being funny." I'm like, "Literally, like how do you not understand how powerful your words are?" Like it's my boyfriend always tries to make a fun kind of energy of it. And I'm like, no, like literally, like what do you mean that was a joke? Like I just don't pick up on it. And I will always be that mirror for people too of that's not true. Or like, why did you say that? Or like you're a powerful manifestor, like careful what you say. Like I will be that annoying person that's planting those seeds all the time. And not in like a toxic positivity way, but like you said, like an awareness way where you're just like, I get it. Like, and I'm all here for making things light and having fun and like being joyful. But at the same time, like, your brain does not know the difference between, oh, it's just a joke and being serious. And yeah, that's a big thing I've noticed with people, at least in this generation. Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. But I'm glad that you're a person that brings awareness to that because I think that we need more of that because I think
Hmm.
so much of it is just unconscious.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't even know we're doing it. And it's like you need somebody to be like, hello, step back to reality. Don't say that.
Yeah.
Helping yourself or anyone by talking that way.
And yeah, I love it at the same time. It's like sometimes it's so lonely because you're just like, why am I the only one that's just like trying to just like pick it up here? But I think that it is though, people don't recognize it and whether that's the household they grew up in or the society and just everything is so. just haha, that's funny, let's make a joke of it. I'm like, is this something to make a joke of though? Do we want to go down this road? I'm like, don't invite me to the party if you don't want to shed some light on some stuff, because I will. I will do that one.
That's funny. My friends are like that too. I'm definitely the most spiritual of my friends, but they slowly start to catch on, and I just find so much joy in it. Like my roommate starts sending me astrology things on Instagram. He'll be like, "Is this true? It's a Virgo moon." I'm like, "Yeah." Is that why I've been feeling this way? Yeah. Okay. It's like things like that. I'm like, yes, I'm rubbing off on people.
Yeah.
See, I feel like I do struggle with that. And like, I know I want to make a big difference in the world. And sometimes I feel like, if you don't see directly like the shifts that you help with people, that you don't really realize how much of an impact you actually have on the people around you. But then, you get the reassurance from even just like your friends and your family and the people that you interact with. They're like, oh, I saw this and I thought of you, or oh, like, this
Mhm.
reminds me of you. I'm like, oh, stop. That's nice.
Literally, and I think that that is the saying of just shine your light bright, and those that will need the lightness or the direction or just allow yourself to overflow, and those that will need it will be able to be overflowed onto. Because I think that that's like a huge part of it. And sometimes the people's lives that have told me or I see that I impact the most is literally just by honoring the parts of it. Like I'm not even consciously doing it, right? They're like, "Oh yeah, I watched you do this." And so I'm like, "Wow, like I didn't even." And it's just little things like honoring my boundaries or setting boundaries or just like speaking my truth or standing strong in who I am. Like, and that's where everyone has to go through so many layers of fear of judgment or just like being misunderstood and all those things. But at the same time, you can never really get that from other people if you're not giving it to yourself. So that's a huge, again, the internal reflects your external. So it really does start with the inner healing, inner work, and it's not for the faint of heart, but at the same time, it's so worth it. And then I think when you dive into it, it's just like you never want to leave it, but in a good way.
Yes, it is. I agree.
Yeah.
Then you're like, what's next? What's under this next layer? What's next? Like, okay,
Yeah.
there's more hidden. And then where did this come from? Oh, cool. I love information so much. Like, I'm
Yeah.
very information driven. So when I get into things like that, it's like, okay, I need the answers. How about this? How about that? And it's like, I almost want to say addicting, but like not in an unhealthy way, but in like I
Yeah.
want to better myself. Like, what's next? What can I do next? Like, how can I get to this next level? And
Mm.
sometimes it's just little teeny tiny steps, and you're like, did I even do anything? And then you look back and you're like, wow, I'm
Yes.
so in a different spot than I was. Like,
We
say
forget to look back.
5 years
Yeah.
ago, you're like, oh wow, it's every
Hmm.
little steps every single day.
Yeah, and that's it, right? Like and I have to do that every single year as I'm like, hold up. Like, look at the last year you just lived and everything you did. Like, we're so future focused, which is amazing. Well, most of us are, but it's at the same time, like you do have to really look back and be like, okay, what did I accomplish? What did I go through? Because when you're just in the thick of it, it's really hard to wrap your head around it. So that's a huge thing. And that's probably why I love like the why and the answers to the questions is just the awareness that it gives you. Once you see stuff, you can't really unsee it. So it is its own form of like healing and growth in its way. Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, we should wrap it up. Just let my listeners know where they can find you, because I'm sure they're gonna want to give you a follow because you're literally the cutest person I've ever come across. I'm
Ah. Oh my gosh. Yes, I am on Instagram at soulful.ray of sunshine. And all my other stuff, like my website, and if you want to book with me, can be found on there as well. I do Reiki as well as spiritual guidance. So that's kind of my forte over here is holding space for people to be able to turn their chaotic energy into calmness, because that is something this world needs right now. So that's kind of my main kind of focus here. So yes, you can find me over there on Instagram, and I'd be so happy to connect.
Yay! Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We are so glad that you could be with us today.
Thank you for having me.
No worries, Kate.